Hello everyone, UFC Paris Imavov versus Borralho just finished. This was an amazing, lively card from start to finish, so let's get into this recap and go over everything that happened. Let's go over the first fight, Shauna Bannon versus Sam Hughes. I picked Sam Hughes to win, and we all knew that she was going to win because Shauna Bannon has a ceiling, as we saw. She has a ceiling because she does not have the strength of spirit to fight. It seems that she just became a fighter because that's what her family wanted her to do since they own a fighting gym. So... It seems that she just followed the path of least resistance. And it shows because she goes into fight like she's going to play volleyball, honestly. Sam got her down in the first round, put her in a crucifix position towards the end, did some decent damage with her elbows, and then I kind of tried to go for a rear naked choke, I think, in that round. And then she did the same thing in the second, basically. Got her down, put her in side control, and then made her way over to the back and finally got that rear naked choke submission. Pretty epic. I think Sam is improving. I think she has a point to prove. Obviously has a lot more strength of spirit, unlike Shauna Bannon. I don't know where the road leads for Shauna Bannon. If this is her ceiling, you know what I mean? Like, winning over Pooja Tomar isn't exactly that impressive, and, losing this badly against Sam Hughes, though it was a good performance, also isn't amazing, Not a great look. Anyhow, let's move on to the next one. Andreas Gustafsson versus Rinat Fakhretdinov. This was a short fight. This fight was so weird, guys, because I think everybody in the community picked Gustafsson to win. And so he walks out there with this, crackhead, meth head energy, starts, trying to push forward, and he starts swinging, but it's kind of sloppy, and then Rinat ends up kind of trying to match his energy. Which was good for Rinat, actually. I like that he adapted and adjusted so quickly. So Rinat ends up catching him with something and realizes that Gustafsson was, weak and wobbled, and just basically, follows up with combinations, backs him up to the cage, and then just basically beats him down until Gustafsson retreats into, the fetal position on the ground, which was really strange. I don't think I ever expected Gustafsson to crumble like that. A lot of you in chat were saying that this is unusual for Gustafsson. He's been in tougher situations before where he has not crumbled like this. I don't know. It looked very strange. I will say that the initial crackhead energy was not what I was expecting. I watched the fight back just to see what exactly was happening, and it really didn't seem like Gustafsson was present at all. I don't know what was going on there. If any of you guys have insights, please drop it in the comments below because I am curious. I think we would all love to know. But yeah, Rinat won. Really good performance from him. I liked how quickly he was able to adjust to everything. And yeah, it was an easy finish for him in the first round. Very, very quick. All right, let's move on to the next one, guys. Brad Tavares versus Robert Bryczek. You know what was really interesting? When I was doing the research for this card, I initially picked Robert Bryczek in my mind, and then started overthinking it and was like, and also saw the record and saw that he lost to Igor Pateria, and I was like, oh no, he lost to Igor Pateria, there's no way he's winning against Brad Tavares. The reason I picked him was because the dynamic that we witnessed was exactly how I was picturing it in my head. Brad Tavares on the back foot, eating shit up against the cage. And you know what? In round one, that's what happened with Brad Tavares. In round one, Robert Bryczek backed him up and into the cage and was able to shoot these combinations without a problem. And Brad Tavares took a lot of damage. He kind of went down a little bit, but he didn't die fully. And his corner told him after that, dude, don't find yourself backed up against the cage. You'll be fine. So round two comes along, he's not getting backed up against the cage, he's being conscious of this. He actually starts winning this round, because although he's still feeling the pressure from Robert Bryczek, he's not letting him completely take over. So round two goes to Brad Tavares, and then round three comes along. I feel like he's winning again, and I'm sitting there, you guys are all sitting there with me, and we're all thinking to ourselves, yep, okay, cool, Brad Tavares just needs to win this round, he'll get the decision. And then he finds himself up against the cage again. And what do you think happens when he finds himself up against the cage? Take a guess. I'll tell you, Brad Tavares ends up finishing him up against the cage because he does the exact fucking thing that his corner told him not to do. loses focus. I'm never picking Brad Tavares for anything ever again. Just saying. If Brad Tavares is losing to a guy that lost to Igor Patiera, my brain does not compute this information, you know what I mean? All right, let's move on to the next one. Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters. Also, another finish. I picked Sam Patterson to win, mostly for the fact that Sam Patterson is actually good, and Trey Waters, I feel like, kind of won that fight with Billy Goff by somewhat of a fluke. Billy Goff also took that fight on short notice. Billy Goff also had a huge reach disadvantage. I think that was also a split decision, if I'm not mistaken, but anyways, I don't fully remember. Trey Waters in this fight, though, did not really have any sort of reach advantage. His fighting style is so strange because he just has this big, shiny target of a head that he, like, swings around. I don't know if that's supposed to be, like, part of his technique. I don't know if it's very effective. It didn't really seem like it because Sam Patterson finished him pretty quickly. I feel like Sam was always just a little more focused. Honestly, I think something I've noticed is the fighter that usually wins is the one that's more locked in, and we'll get into this later. But Sam is just landing the better shots, countering him, and eventually he just lands this beautiful hook to the left side of Trey Waters' head, and you can literally feel his brain quaking in there as that happens. Ref stops the fight. Beautiful finish. Yeah, lovely to see. All these performances have been so good so far. Honestly, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed with this card. Not one dull moment. Even on the fights that didn't get finishes, I was never really sitting there thinking like, oh wow, this is draining, you know? Anyhow, let's move on to the next one. Harry Hadwick versus Kaue Fernandes. This was so crazy. I don't know, guys, if Kaue Fernandes's legs are made of iron or if Harry Hadwick is just a very delicate creature, because Kaue Fernandes's game plan was leg kicks all day. Shin kicks, kicks to the shin of Harry Hadwick. I've never seen a guy eat leg kicks the way that I saw Harry Hadwick. It almost felt like each leg kick that Kaue Fernandes threw at Harry Hadwick's shin was a wrecking ball that was destroying parts of his bone each time. He could barely stand on those things, dude. He was limping. It was such a bad scene. He was already not keeping up on the feet, but man, once his legs were compromised, it was just game over. And finally, Kaue Fernandes shot one last shin kick that sent Harry Hadwick rolling on the canvas, and that was it. Ref called the fight. Bro could not stand, guys. This is not funny. I'm just shocked. I'm shocked. Honestly, a shocking fight. You need to watch this one back if you haven't seen it. And crazy win for Kaue Fernandes. Really impressive. Harry Hadwick ends up getting wheeled out of the octagon, guys, on a wheelchair. Dude gets wheeled out. His legs, I hope his legs are okay. I think they might be after some recovery, but man, that was crazy. One of my favorite fights on this card, actually, was that one, just because, I don't know, I couldn't look away. All right, let's move on to the next one. Marcin Tybura versus Ante Delija. Wow. Marcin Tybura. I mean, first of all, at the weigh-in, we saw this too. I picked Ante Delija specifically because Marcin looked like a hungover uncle. At the weigh-in and in the fight. Even more so in the fight. Especially as the fight began and we saw them both kind of approach each other. Immediately, the thought that I had was, oh, okay, Tybura's losing. There was just a complete difference in energies in this fight. Marcin Tybura tried to get a takedown. We saw this the first little bit of round one. Tries to get a takedown, looks like a big jelly bean, no success. And then they go back to fighting each other on the feet. Ante Delija looks super focused. You can even just tell by looking at them how focused Ante was versus Marcin. Marcin just literally looked kind of out of it. And Ante Delija basically just backs him up to the cage, caught him with something. I think it was an uppercut or something. Marcin falls. Ante follows up, gets a KO while Marcin is bent over in the fetal position. Beautiful finish. Again, all finishes so far. Like, I'm so impressed. Sometimes the UFC delivers gems, man. Sometimes. It's rare, especially in 2025. Anyhow, guys. All right, let's move on to the next one, guys. The last prelim, Oumar C versus Brendson Ribeiro. This was also a beautiful fight. The last finish on the prelims. I don't know how to describe this fight other than it seemed like Brendson Ribeiro was fighting with the same fight IQ that Miguel Pereira has, and Oumar C didn't have to like improvise or even try that much. Like, Brendson Ribeiro just doesn't like he just lacks some fight IQ, man. I don't know how else to say. The only thing I can say is that there's just a clear lack of presence that's evident when you watch Ribeiro's fights. Like, the way he's eating these shots, the way he reacts to it, it's all just like a little off, you know? He doesn't adjust the way that he could or he should. Anyways, he eventually gets taken down to the ground, tries to get back up, gets taken down again, and eventually he finds himself in side control, which seems to be the theme also of tonight. Oumar has him squished against the cage and ends up just firing these shots to the side of his head up until the ref stops it and he gets the finish. This is actually surprising too, because I expected Oumar C to take this to a decision based on his last performance. But this was epic. Love to see it. Let's move on to the next one. William Gomis versus Robert Ruchala, or Ruchala, however you say that. I picked William Gomis. Sometimes being a technical fighter isn't a good thing when you're dealing with someone who is aggressive by nature. Robert Ruchala isn't really one of these people. William Gomis was just doing better than him on the feet. And so Robert Ruchala's game plan was, all right, well, since I'm kind of losing on the feet, let me try and get him down to the ground, hopefully submit him. That didn't really work. His submission attempts consisted of getting William Gomis down to the ground, pinning him, I guess, and trying to like constrict his movement, but like nothing really came of it, and Gomis just got back up eventually. So RIP Robert Ruchala was just always a couple of steps behind. Anyways, William Gomis took that all the way to a decision. One of the only decisions on this card that could have been maybe a finish, but William Gomis doesn't play that game, guys. William Gomis prefers to be a decision merchant, which is also fine. I understand. Sometimes you just don't want to take risks, you know? Sometimes you just want to get that clean point win. All right, let's move on to the next one, guys. Alex Sola versus Rhys Mckee. I was kind of shocked by this performance. I picked Rhys Mckee. I thought he was going to be better. I thought that he would be the better counter striker, actually. But Alex Sola initiated well and was the better counter striker too, which was kind of impressive and unexpected. Not only that, but all of the things that Alex Sola had in his arsenal seemed to be doing way more damage than anything else Rhys Mckee had to offer us. The first shot from Alex Sola in this whole fight, like, sent Rhys's head so far back, I was concerned for his neck and his face, to be honest. I think that compromised Rhys's breathing just straight away. Anyways, as I said, I thought Axel Sola was going to be the one who would be trying to keep up with Rhys Mckee, but it was actually the other way around. And I think it was in the third round where Axel Sola hit him right in the epigastric zone, if you guys know where that is, like just like underneath the center of the rib. And Rhys Mckee just falls again, like almost fetal position. Alex Sola follows up. Herb Dean calls the fight. Some of you were saying it's an early stoppage, but I think it was actually fair. Rhys Mckee wasn't really defending himself. It didn't look like that, especially from like the different angle they showed in the replay. I think it was a totally understandable stoppage. I think the only people who are calling this an early stoppage are the ones who are insisting that Rhys Mckee should have been exposed to a higher likelihood of CTE. But I thought it was a completely understandable stoppage. Alex Sola was winning that whole fight anyways. I think that was clear to see for everybody. I'm actually really impressed. I think Alex Sola is a really good fighter. Like, same way that Rinat Fakhretdinov adapted to Gustafsson's energy, this is exactly what I saw from Alex Sola. Even when Rhys Mckee did try to step on the gas and ramp it up a little bit, like, Alex Sola just had more energy in his gas tank to match that and do better. So, I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. It's rare to see a fighter that can adapt like that on the spot without having to confide in their team and their corner after each round ends. So yeah, thought it was great. Let's move on to the next one. Guys, Bolaji Oki versus Mason Jones. Bolaji Oki fucked up, guys. In round 1, Bolaji Oki wobbled Mason Jones. Thought he was going to get a finish, yo. I was scared for a second, too. Mason Jones was looking a little shaken, but apparently not. It wasn't that bad. Mason Jones claims in the end that it wasn't as terrible as it looked. But unfortunately, Bolaji Oki just exhausted his entire gas tank and all of his adrenaline in that first round. After that first round, Bolaji Oki was basically just cooked. He just could not keep up with anything. He had it's almost like he lost his spirit in that first round when he didn't get that finish. There was nothing left. He tried to go for these takedowns, like these double legs. He kept missing and rolling over. Mason then just followed up by showing him how it was done, literally. And he also commented on this after the fight ended. And he tried 2 of these takedowns. The second one was fucked up. Mason Jones kind of countered it. I don't remember exactly how it went, but I feel like he kind of slipped behind him, picked him up, and did a beautiful judo throw. Then mounted him and proceeded to elbow him into CTE-ville, basically. Elbowed him until the fight was called. Bolaji Oki ate a lot of elbows, man. A lot of elbows from Mason Jones. I really admire that performance. That was amazing. Mason Jones is always so fun to watch because he always gives it his all. And I really like that dynamic of just one-upping his opponent, like Bolaji Oki fucking up these takedown attempts and Mason Jones just being like, yo bro, let me show you how it's really done. That was really a big brother move in the end, that judo throw followed up by that mount. A work of art, guys. A work of art. Rare to see in the MMA these days. Anyways, guys, let's move on to the next one. Modestas Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. Guys, in this one, Paul Craig was really showing his age. This fight also only lasted 1 round. Most of it was also clinching. And the last 30 seconds of it consisted of Modestas Bukauskas reversing the clinch position. Paul Craig making the fatal mistake. Guys, this is the worst thing he could have done in this fight. He would have been fine, but he decides to jump up, attempts to wrap his legs around Bukauskas, but he slips and ends up just falling into the corner of the cage. Obviously, then Modestas just goes in with the fucking elbows, and I think most of them he was shooting with his left arm. And just as the bell rings, guys, with his right, I think because he knew the time was running out and he was like, this is my chance, bro. I gotta get this. I need this finish. He lands the most aggressive elbow I've ever seen. And you could even hear it. Someone in chat said that it sounded like a bat breaking. And it really fucking did. It was so crazy, the sound of that elbow. Paul Craig was knocked out cold, lying there with a loss of consciousness. Anyhow, beautiful performance from Modestas Bukauskas, and also Paul Craig retired, because I think that kind of move, which was super uncalled for, jumping up, trying to put his legs up, I don't know, I don't know exactly what his game plan there was. Maybe he was trying to take Modestas Bukauskas down with him. I don't know what the plan. If someone knows, please drop your knowledge below. We would love to know. But yeah, that was like a CTE move. That felt like something you would do if just lack of forethought. I don't know. Anyhow, guys, let's move on to the next one. Benoit Saint-Denis versus Mauricio Luffy. I actually picked Mauricio Luffy to win, but guys, as this fight was creeping up, I was saying, I feel like Benoit Saint-Denis might have his redemption moment, his Paulo Costa redemption moment. That's kind of what happened. A lot of people were talking about the fact that Mauricio might get exposed on the ground. We haven't really seen him in that position. And this was also the beginning of a really sad night for the fighting nerds. Mauricio got taken down pretty early. He managed to get back up, but obviously it was enough for him to realize that he's basically cooked if that happens again. He spent the entirety of round 1 basically just on the ground without many answers. It was a really sad situation. We all knew what was happening there. I think the only good thing I saw Mauricio Luffy land in this fight was a flying knee. And like, okay, I don't know, it made me realize that in that fight with Bobby Green, it was also this type of thing. Like Mauricio Luffy, he's technically good, but that doesn't matter because like if you are susceptible to getting flustered like this, and also if you have no ground game, it doesn't matter how technically cool your tricks are on the feet, because as we saw, that didn't get him anywhere, and he eventually got taken down again in the second round. BSD made his way around the back, and I think it was a head crank that he finished him with. And just like that, the aura was gone. And just like that, we foreshadow something that happens in the main event, guys. And just like that, we expose something about the fighting nerds. I also think, by the way, that Luffy's performance had some sort of effect on Kaue Borralho, because his fight was coming up next. And not only did I suspect that something was off about the next fight we're talking about, which is Nasruddin Imavov versus Kaue Borralho, during the weigh-in, they both kind of looked tired. They both looked like they had a bit of a rough weight cut. They both showed up with sunglasses, but as they were facing each other off, Imavov took his off and kind of gestured for Kaue to do the same thing, and Kaue just wouldn't. And I hated that. Like, from that point, I was like, oh, so like this something's wrong. And there was like this smell of doubt from Kaio's side that you could just feel. Also, you could feel it in the little speech that he gave after that. But anyhow, this fight comes around. In the first few rounds, you could feel this doubt from Kaue. Nasruddin was super calm from the get-go, and Kaue just couldn't get in the zone. He couldn't lock in at all. He mentioned this, by the way, in the post-fight speech too, saying that he just couldn't find his adrenaline. I think that's what it was. It was just, when you have too much doubt in your head, you can't like summon your adrenaline. It just doesn't really work, I guess. Because I only really saw Kaue kind of locking in towards round 4 and 5. Like, it took him a while. I don't know if you guys noticed this too. Another thing too is this fight was kind of not that exciting, and I think it's because Imavov chose to have that counter-striking game plan. And usually with these situations, if the opponent doesn't initiate with anything, we're all just kind of waiting, you know, because the counter striker's waiting, we're waiting, the opponent is trying to figure out what to do. Every time Kaue went in, he basically just ate combinations from Imavov most of the time. Like, he'd go in with a jab and just eat 2 shots. Wasn't ideal for him. And in the first few rounds, I think this really just messed with him, along with the Mauricio Luffy loss. I think it was just like a lot. He probably really I feel like he probably really expected Luffy to win, and then when that did not fucking happen, it was just like, oh. And then with the pre-existing doubt from the other day, I think it was just off. I think that's why he couldn't get in the zone early on. Anyhow, I don't think anyone expected 2 losses from the fighting nerds today, but that is what happened. I think the best base for MMA is a clear head, the ability to focus, the ability to adapt, obviously having fight IQ. That's the only thing. If you have those, and you also have the drive to grind it out, I think you're good. That's all you need. If you have these things, you will succeed. And honestly, that's really helped me in picking the winner of these fights. I will use these criteria to pick all my future winners, you know? So anyhow, guys, pretty sure that's... Oh, I was gonna say in round 2, sorry, I have one last thing to say about this. Kaue Borralho has a tattoo on his arm that says fight or die. Yet in the second round, with 2 seconds on the clock, he just walks away like a quitter? What? Like, he was just so overwhelmed that he walked away? It was so confusing. I think that gave Imavov a lot of confidence. But it also seemed to me like that was the turning point of him being like, okay, something's off about me right now. Let me like go readjust. Because he did seem to start doing a little better in that 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round. But those first 2 rounds just were not it for him at all. And he really needed to readjust. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think the Fighting Nerds lost a lot of their aura. What do you guys think? Let me know. Wasn't too terrible. The Luffy loss was pretty terrible, but the Kaue loss was alright. Again, guys, I think Kaue knew he was going to lose. You can watch their face-off at the weigh-in and you tell me what you think. I'm telling you guys, I could smell the doubt. I could smell the doubt. I could see these, I could sense these things. I don't know about you guys. I know some of you can too. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, do confirm with me in the comments below. Anyhow, this was an amazing card. I think, like, is it the best card of the year? Definitely one of the most memorable ones, if not the most memorable. Also, the Paris crowd goes so hard. I did not expect that. I think that's another thing, because I noticed this when I was watching Top Dog. The energy from the crowd, especially when they're cheering someone on in sync, almost gives the fighters like this extra burst of adrenaline, this extra energy, and makes them want to perform, you know? Like, imagine yourself if you were in there, the crowd, like, you got all these people around you and they're silent. Are you gonna want to put on a performance? Whereas, you know, if they're making noise and they're cheering for you synchronistically, like, you're gonna want to do more. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. Also, the founder of Top Dog confirmed this as well. If you want a performance, you should set up the show, you know? Make it all happen. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching this video. Let me know what your thoughts were in the comments. If there's anything I missed or that you disagree with, let me know. And I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.